The other way to tune is something that is in real time. And the most popular of these is, of course, AutoTune. Now, AutoTune has been around for a long, long time. And way before it was ever a plug-in for the computer, it was also, and still is, a rack unit, an actual hardware box that you can buy. You can run your mics and your audio through it. And again, you can set parameters, and that way you can have AutoTune in a live performance, or to tape if you don't use computers. But AutoTune as a plugin does the exact same thing. So I'm going to tune this exact same part, but I'm going to use AutoTune instead. So I'm on my original comp track. This is not the Melodyne version. And instead, I'm going to go over and grab my AutoTune plugin. Now, the two main features of AutoTune that you're going to mess around with, there's a lot of different features they've added over the years. Back on version 1 and 2, there was only like 2 knobs. And this is version 5, I believe, and they just opened up version 7. So I haven't even kept up to date, but they keep adding features to it. But AutoTune has a graphical view as well, which is kind of like the Melodyne we looked at before. And it's helpful, but I rarely use that. If I want to do something hands-on, I'll use Melodyne. But what shines for me is AutoTune's autocorrection mode. It's not as precise as Melodyne, but in essence, it lets you choose the input type. So are you a soprano, like a high woman singing, or are you more of like a bass or a bass guitar? In my case, I'm a tenor, so just your average middle male voice. And then all you do is choose what key is the song in that you're singing in. This song happens to be in D minor. So I could choose D, and under scale, I could choose minor. And so then it only allows the notes that are in a D minor scale to exist, which is D, E, F, G, A, B flat, and C. The other way to look at that is go back to chromatic. So these are all the notes, and set minor. So it grays out notes that aren't in the D minor key. All right, and what that's going to allow AutoTune to do is to listen to my audio going through it, and more than likely I'm singing notes that are in the D minor scale. So if I'm kind of in between a D sharp and an E, it could pull me up to a D sharp or up to an E. But if I've said, hey, there's no D sharps in this scale, then it'll know to pull me to an E instead. You see what I'm saying? That kind of helps AutoTune know which note to pull your note to. So you give it a little bit of help, and then you just basically leave it on there as a plug-in, and when I press play, you're going to hear it correcting the pitch. You're going to see the notes move down here, and then you're going to see my pitch being pulled. And then what I want you to watch is this knob right here, Retune Speed. As I speed it up, this is going to be how fast AutoTune clamps down on my pitch to change it. Does it come in right away, or does it do it slowly? This is a lot like the attack function on a compressor. Let's take a listen.
There is nothing new under the sun. What has been is what will be.
All right, so you got that fast retune speed. If you take a listen to it in the chorus, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
We need you here. We need you now.
All right, so that's become obviously very famous. People have been doing that effect for years. Cher was doing it for a long time, and it's just gotten even crazier popular. But all you're hearing is the note being pulled to another note very quickly. All right, that's with the retune speed set at 0, so instantly it's going to retune it. And listen as I dial that back a little bit; it'll sound a little more natural.
We need you here. We need you now. Tripping over rocks and roots and darkness, without truth revealed to guide us. We need you here. We need you now.
All right, so you can see the notes moving, and up here you're seeing how much AutoTune is stretching my pitch back to the correct pitch. So if you see it pulling it 50 cents all the way to 100 cents, that means that it's pulling it to a note that I wasn't even close at. So that either means that I was a horrible singer and AutoTune is having to work way too hard, or it means that really I've got the wrong scale set and it's not seeing the note that I'm singing, it's pulling me to a different note, and that might give you a clue that maybe you got the wrong key set. Because if I choose F major, take a listen to what happens.
We need you here. We need you now. We're tripping over rocks and roots.
If I choose E flat major, because if I choose a key like E flat major, listen to what happens.
We need you here. We need you now. We're tripping over rocks and roots and darkness without truth revealed to guide us. We need you here.
It's just confused. It's like, well, you're not singing notes that are in that key, so we're having to pull it all over the place. So that gives you a clue if you're in the wrong key. So you dial it back to the right key and you go with it.
We need you here. We need you now. We're tripping over rocks and roots and darkness without truth revealed to guide us. We need you here.
And so they added this humanized knob version 4 or 5, and that helps keep the vibrato and things a little more natural sounding, but mostly you're playing with the retune speed and the right key. And so in essence, it's just a plugin that you leave strapped on your channel, and it's tuning it in real time. So it obviously is faster than Melodyne. You don't have to go through and make sure every note's in place, but it's less accurate. It's going to tune differently every single time you press play. It's not always going to sound 100% identical. And it will sometimes miss the quick little notes moving up and down the scale, and it'll just pull in the main notes you're holding out. But a lot of times that's all you need. You need something to just make sure when you hold out a note, for instance, in my chorus, that we need you here, when I'm holding that word here out, I want AutoTune to just make sure I don't get sharp or flat on a note like that, because that's going to stick out to the listener.